Welcome to Caribbean Content Creators. Today we're talking to Joey Timal or Fix or Fling on TikTok. And today we're talking about how you could use TikTok for small business. Before we get, Joey, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. Joey and I probably go back about a year. I met him first through his work on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You were posting videos. I'll put links to the show notes to everything. And then I came across his work on TikTok, and when a good friend of mine who was into the YouTube content creation with me, Mr. Bat, he passed away, Joey offered some live streaming services. Joey is a repair man, and right now he's wearing a jersey called "This Guy Can Fix It." Probably. It's a fantastic. I love the quality of it.
Yes.
There's some merch that you'll probably have to offer.
Yes.
Before we get started talking about like TikTok in particular and how you using it for your appliance repair business, give me a little bit of the backstory with content creation with you and your journey through YouTube and different things that would eventually take you to TikTok.
All right, cool. So, I've been a technician since I was about 10, right? My father was a sewing machine technician, and spending time with daddy means spending time in the workshop. So as I grow older, I wanted to do that. But then, two crab in the same hole. So daddy and I used to have regular fights. So I try to go across the graphics, right? Art was always like a thing for me. So I went into that. And then growing out of that, in between juggling it too, then I came across 3D animation with Blender. A friend of mine, Gaff, introduced me to that. So it's like, hey, this is something I could do. And I was thinking, my boys, and I was like, Joe, why don't I try to blend it too? Make some tutorials, 3D animation of how our machine does work and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, but I was too poor at the time. I couldn't afford a good laptop, It's not like now you can render online,
And Blender is sucking resources from you.
I trying to put a fan underneath to cool down the CPU. But and then it's like, I think it was like 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. My brother have a company that does camera installs and stuff like that. So I went to him and was like, bro, help me. I want to do so. Quote and unquote, you want to reinvent the wheel? Why don't you just pull the videos off of YouTube and tag them? And my response to that was simple. These people live in a different country. They don't have TNTech, they don't have WASA, they don't have our culture. So what they experiencing over there will be totally different to what we're experiencing over here. So I can't just plug and play one size fits all. I want to show people where the problems is. And as a technician growing up, you get to realize there's a big disconnect between what should be done and what is being done. And the come back to that from most of my clients is, nobody never tell me. Nobody salesperson never say. So I was like, here, what's going on? Let me be that person. Let me start to show people, hey, it's not the machine. Hey, it's not this. And no, I'm not saying this, and I had to part this clip because I get relaxed. I'm not saying everybody have the personal opinion about the new devices, even myself. But from a professional standpoint, what I can help you do better to have a longer lifespan of your appliance is a win for me, right? So that is when I started YouTube. Like everybody else, I had a cell phone and I went around doing little things. And then it went into the editing aspect of it, right? Which really, again, at that point in time, we didn't know about OBS like we just had a conversation about. So, and I like a little theatrics in it. I like to keep a little, how to put it, videography. So if I'm editing a video, it's like, it must be a story. It must be more than just me saying now and talking. It's like, there's one I was doing where I actually drop tool on the ground. And you see this cool shatter into about 3 pieces. But it has a lot of work that goes into that. And that's how I wanted to present it. But it's very time consuming. And editing was that. So when I got into it, it's like, I had one I called being a Trinitech. That was like actually first concept I had. So it's like, hey, you come on the road with me. It's more of a vlog, right? Where, all right, a customer call me. They have a problem with a washing machine. Let me go and check it out. What is they doing? So it's like real life vlogging, but at the same time, I'm giving tips based on what I see. So if you have that problem or you creating that problem for yourself, you would see it and you would stop. Right? Or you would say, here, we're going on. I see what the end result is. Let me not do that, right? And that is where I develop into that. And the original name of the business was EAR Parts and Service, Electronics and Appliance Repairs. And one of my good friends, Philip, was like, dude, no, Fix or Fling, right? And then the Fix or Fling name kind of replaced EAR Parts because everybody's like, So that's how it grew into YouTube.
And it's fantastic the importance of a good name.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
something
boy.
catchy. There's something that's kind of
Yeah.
the tip of people's tongues. So in 2020, you saw an opportunity in terms of using YouTube to educate
Mm-hmm.
the customer.
That's all it
Because
was.
in Trinidad and Tobago, you're saying that there are very different factors that would
Mm-hmm.
influence the wear and tear on a machine.
Exactly.
The electricity, the water supply
Right.
that we have. And that's fantastic,
Even in Trinidad, right? If you go, I'm sure you experience it. You go Valencia, and the water content that comes out the pipe is one thing there because they're close to a processing plant or something. Or if you go central, it'll be totally different. Some places the calcium buildup may be faster than other places right here. So that alone says that what we experience in here is going to be different to any other part of the world.
So, as a content creator, you could tell me a little bit about, how important it is for the content creator who's listening to this. They have a small business and they're interested in how they could use TikTok or YouTube to reach folks. How important is it for you to identify what makes you unique or that value that you're bringing to the table in that sense?
Same principle, be you. I think Fleming was here, the guy who does do it. You're right.
Yeah,
And
from
he said something that really stood out in your podcast. You could make one video, one person out there had to like it. That is all, and that is enough. I quoted him on that, right? The fact about it is be you. Let people see who you are because you're not selling the content alone as a business owner, right? You are selling your product, you're selling your knowledge, you're selling your experience, and you're selling your personality, right? So if people be like, hey, Joey, you real full of shit, boy, right? And the thing about it, what you see there, when I come home to you, is what you see, right? I am not sugarcoating anything. I may try to adjust my personality based on the person I'm interacting with, but it's going to be the same person on a different level, right? And the next thing I learning right now is very hard. You can't satisfy 100% of your clientele, right? So some videos and some things you might, hey, I want to attract 100. No, don't go for high views, right? Go for something you want to put out. Let it be something meaningful to you first, and then let nature take its course.
Do you have, as a content creator, a special set of objectives for when you create a video and it has to hit a particular checklist?
Yeah, definitely. First thing first, like I say, I enjoy something I found in me that I really enjoy is I love sharing information. Because a lot of technicians don't do that. And I'm not putting down anybody, that's just the culture of it. But when I come by you, ask anybody, you can check my reviews on Google. Everybody will say I just give out too much information. I spent 5 minutes with you and look how waiters we covered, right? Because I enjoy that. I enjoy educating and sharing things with people because people share things with me, right? Like Era Fabian put across a lot of knowledgeable things. But if you didn't have the podcast platform rather than the comedy platform, you would not understand the depth of the person, right? So when you go across and you do these things and you put across information to people, it will come back to you. I like to study. So,
Well, I'm a little bit puzzled about what we're talking about here because I have spoken to a lot of tradesmen, mechanics, different ones about starting a channel very simply and saying, share your knowledge. And the immediate thing they tell me is that if I share content like that, nobody go in and come by me.
hold on a second. Here's my thing about it. And I don't care who backlash me with this. One of the biggest problems I have, okay, I am like one of the youngest sewing machine technicians out there that is certified by brother, right? Now, that's a big deal. The reason why it's a big deal, the person who's next to me is probably 52, right? When that realm of people passed on, what is going to happen? Nobody's passing on information. Nobody's grooming the future. The most we do, and I'm quoting a lot of people here, them young boys and their money on a hustle. So you can't find one person out of 5,000 to try to educate them and bring them up to be the future of it. And they are growing in the age that we are growing out of, which is technology, right? So it's not the idea of sharing the information because they think if they share the information, they're losing the bread and butter. And that is very defensive, and that's cultured into technicians.
So to clear the record, so to say, has sharing information affected your business negatively?
Yes, I know. Yes and no. Because the thing about it is that whether it's me they come to or YouTube, the university or YouTube or online, because information is so readily available, right? They would find it if they are looking for it. The difference with it, like I say, is the person that is coming from, right? If you go on YouTube, like a lot of people do it, and then they call me after when they're in a jam, right? Like, boy, I went on YouTube and they say turn this that way and do that way. I was like, yeah, did you realize that is a total different setup? All the machine look the same. No, you had a real confidence in doing what you did because YouTube gave you that confidence. Look how easy it is. But these content creators rather than technicians, no, there is a separation. They would do things for views. Doesn't mean to say it's the right thing, or they would hide certain things to ensure that, okay, they just get any view for it and they would leave out a bunch of it. I make videos. I know the realm of that, right? So when they come, younger technicians come up, they call me. I teach for CTS college. So I designed a small appliance repair class. Nobody in the Caribbean does it like I do. I don't think anybody teaches it unless it's a generic program. I designed one for the Caribbean and I teach it for CTS college. And a lot of the younger youths are coming up. I seen a lot of them are very inquisitive about growing more in it, right? So it's not the idea that you're going to lose your bread and butter, because that's the first problem with it is competition. Trinidad is so big and there's so much people out there that if you pertain to 50 people and you have 50 strong, how to put it, clients, you should be good. I'm not saying you're going to be filthy rich, but you should be comfortable. And that directly impacts on your lifestyle. So let's not go down there. So if you know you presenting your stuff and you're showing your personality and you prove to be somebody that is understanding, trustworthy, straight up, and you have people best interests at heart, whether you lose business on one end, you will gain on the other end. So it's a twofold. Yes, you're giving out information, and I've been cautioned of it. I had friends when I started to do this who was big time technicians, drop me like a hot blood. Like, forget you, because you go in and sell the information, you go and give away the information. It's trade secrets. That's the next thing you need to know as a technician, as somebody who's doing. You have to know where the secrets of your trade is, and you need to know when to stop giving out certain information. Because at the end of the day, that's your bread and butter. But at the same time, you have to let people know you are educated on what you're doing. You're not a fly-by-night person. You could be making ice cream. I could go buy one of them ice cream people, buy a big bucket, repackage it, and sell it, right? But the thing about it is that the concept and what you're selling is it different from going by this wholesaler, whoever it is. You are selling your personality. Doubles. Everybody's selling doubles. But there are brands out there that is famous. Why? Because you're selling your personality, you're selling your care, you're selling your perspective on how this brand or this product should be represented.
Well, here listen, as you're talking about doubles, it have plenty doubles I like, but I don't like the doubles, man. You know? But you know what? The quality of the doubles is so good that I will interface a little sour face to you.
I understand. I understand. It's like shopping in somebody's franchise, you know? You really don't want to engage in these people, but I want 2-piece at fries, you know what I mean? Right? But it's like you reach it, wait, what? Oh, good. Let me don't go down that road.
Yeah,
You know?
So what kind of success were you getting on YouTube? Because I can remember one of your early vlogs where you were doing the technician stuff, and I appreciated seeing it because I was watching the kind of behind the scenes stuff. And what was kind of, you may have covered this in some, mention it there briefly, but thinking about the time that you were taking to film, edit compared to TikTok, and you know, what is it like YouTube versus TikTok for small business and reaching people quickly?
I'm gonna be real with you. YouTube was for fun. Although it was for fun. And at that point in time it was not pandemic app. Like how we had Zoom and now TikTok, all those things flourished in the middle of the pandemic, right? To me, it was just, again, it was something fun, something to do. I still want to get back there, but talking to Just Baron, there's things I want to tweak. So I'll get back to that point, right? The viewership was not much and it didn't bother me. Right? Sometimes if you watch some of my things up for a year, and I probably had like 50 something views, right? Because again, it's new. Nobody goes on YouTube looking for these kind of things. I just put it out. It's, for me, it was fun. It was a hobby, and it was nice. Whoever get the information caught it, right?
And I guess if you're making videos that are centered around fixing a particular washing machine,
Mm-hmm.
it will be a kind of in-depth tutorial that might end up selling the trade secrets.
No, I mean, I was very sometime in the gray area with that because people who watch it was like, hey, you're giving out too much. But the reality is, it wasn't about giving out the trade secrets. It was basically showing you where the problem was and explaining what caused it so that if you are having an issue or you create an example, classic, I just tell everybody, don't use soap powder in your washing machine, right? Everybody but my grandmother was using that and da. Fine. Here, what I going to do, partner? I go buy a client now. I'm going to change lid lock or I'm going to change springs or whatever it is. And I'm going to show you why I say that. And I'm going to explain to you why that needs to be done, right? Coming back to TikTok, the difference I find between TikTok and YouTube. YouTube to me is a very open source platform, meaning that if you leave a playlist to run, things that not even in your genre would play, right? And I have noticed because I've tested it with TikTok, whatever you keep searching for, only that is going to come up on your feed. So it kind of streamlines the fat of information, right? So like how people is be dancing and stuff, that'll come up on my TikTok stream, right? Or it'll come out on tech stuff because I like fixing stuff. Like I tell you, I have a car to fix engine SR20 to put in a car, right? All those things is what interests me. James Webb Telescope, them kind of things. So those are the kind of feeds I get with TikTok. So now that gives me the energy and the understanding of, hey, this is what's going on in my world. And now I could take notes from that and I could probably add it to my video. So it helps builds that content. In the phase of the views, I think TikTok is miraculous.
Sorry, I want to go back a little bit
Sure.
because you mentioned something there that strike the word, the education of the content creator, the learning process. So you're consuming content in the tech scene, in the appliance repair that may be global, and you now taking content like that and trying to see, well, what is our fit locally?
Exactly.
And that's how you're coming. That's how you're coming up with some of your content ideas.
Exactly. There's a lot of people outside of Trinidad I talk to, right? A lot of there's people from Australia because of TikTok. There's people from Canada and all these things. And when they see what I do, we already have a respect. So I would message them, hey, all again, this problem with all your valves. No boy, but here we have a problem with our motors, right? Or whatever it is. And we exchange ideas and understand what the culture of there is different to here. So when I am dealing with certain things, I would be like, okay, so all you know, this is not our problem. Or even if it was to sprang up, I would already have a understanding of where to tackle. And if anybody ever messaged me, they realize I do diagnosis on WhatsApp. Some people, I don't even have to go to their homes to do a diagnosis. I would just say, okay, parts and labor X because of experience, because understanding what it is you're getting into and that information intake. If you watch my TikTok video, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning, I up studying. There's a new thing now where fridges are coming with circuit boards, right? And that is now starting to give us trouble. Last year, I was reading up on it. I understand electronics to the point where I could jump up and say, all right, so capacitors going and blow because of voltage fluctuation. All your put a line conditioner, all your appliances. I just preach that.
And I could vouch for Fix or Fling here because Fix or Fling has, I had a problem with my refrigerator. I called up Fix or Fling. Yeah, over the phone, you were able to tell me what to get. You show up. So for the listener who is interested in seeing his TikTok pages or maybe even looking for a repair, man, I will put all the links in the description to his different pages, his contact information and whatnot. And I'm really happy that you're sharing that idea there of the education, the learning process that you do when you're looking at videos, because I think a lot of small businesses, self-employed people, they struggle with the idea, well, where do I find ideas for my own content creation? Because I'm amazed that you could take this boring idea of appliances and then say, make entertaining stuff that people value and then reach out to you as a consequence. You have something to say?
Yeah, it's not the idea of only just where I fit in, because I have that identity crisis, and it's not the idea of identity as a technician. It's an idea of how do I put, like everybody else, how do I put my story into viable content or acceptable content, right? Because there's a lot of things might be boring. Oh God, look, you're unscrewing the machine. or there's a lot of different things. And honestly, it starts with you. Before you go outside, it starts with you. All right, there's this girl I follow who has her own ice cream thing. And she say, come spend a day with me. You'll see she get up 5 o'clock in the morning. She going through all her orders. A vlog, right? And the thing about it, that vlog, I have watched a lot of vlogs and listened to a lot of different content in that regard. And it's so different because she actually lets it, okay, so this, she's not calling the company's name, but I have 75 going here, 35 going here, whatever it is, even one or whatever it is. And the difference with it is that you can hear in her voice the passion behind it. You can see her dedication. So it's not really what she is putting out, but her, again, her personality and her passion for what she does says a lot. There's another one who sells simple as aprons on TikTok, right? And she would show you, she would get up 6 o'clock and she would go down south with her aprons. And every store she could go into, she would try to push it to get orders. And she does that on TikTok. She says, all right, I'm hungry now. What to eat? And you make it so inviting that people see you. So the concept of selling her aprons goes sideline as getting to understand an entrepreneur's mind. And as an entrepreneur, to some degree, we have a lot of days where we just want to pack up shop and go home and sleep. There's a lot of times doing our daily activities, we have no time for our access to other things and in terms like content creation. And this is where I could come back again to TikTok, right? With TikTok, it makes it easier to edit. You can edit on your phone, right? I could do a whole video and have it stay on TikTok and do all the editing, put in all the content and everything right there. Whereas we have to sit down with our laptop. No, it's not ideal and it's a generic form of the same thing. But for like 3 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, whatever you want to call it, videos, right? Straight to the point and very quick as our attention span right now, everybody talks about it. But that is just teasing it. Now, what you want to do is move from there to something bigger. That's why we're going across to YouTube. So anybody wants to learn what you're doing, or if you want to offer classes, or you want to get more information about you, okay, come off of TikTok, meet me on YouTube.
And we'll get to that point in a bit, because that's something I definitely want to talk about in terms of courses and the offerings and other streams of like monetization that you considering. Before I ask you about when someone connects with you and the apps you're using to streamline your business, because I think that's something that could help the listener. I want to go back to a point that you mentioned in terms of when you say, hey, do you soap powder in your washing machines? I'm kind of curious about your content creation journey, and has it actually affected like your relationship with bigger brands that might be selling detergents and anything? I mean, I know some of it may be private details, but I'm kind of curious about.
Okay, no, I know where you're going with that. And a lot of people is like, Joey, the backlash will be bad, We always have these friends that always be the voice of reason, although they don't understand what's going on. That's why I was very clear and specific about not calling brands. I call the context of what it is, soap powder, right? Or if Trinidadian, everything is a particular brand. We don't have a product, we have a brand. So, if it's liquid soap, it's wash well. Right? So that's why I don't go specifically to brand. And that is why whatever it is I'm doing, I'm backing it up with visual aids, right? So I could tell you, look, this is why it's happening. Example, let's go back to that same scenario. Why not use soap powder? Soap powder is something that don't dissolve 100%. Anybody who uses it would know that, right? So there's a certain cycle, like the agitation cycle, where the water is getting slapped around a lot. The solids tend to go in your lid lock, which has springs and a coil, a solenoid coil. When that sits on the coil, it corrodes the coil and it causes it to break down and damage. So now, if you stop using that and use liquid detergent, you're saving yourself about $700. Because now you have to pay somebody to come and change out the lid lock and diagnose all of that for you to know exactly if I was just buying liquid soap, you're good to go.
And you're fixing, because your videos naturally might be featured in a washing machine of a particular brand, let's say brand X, right?
Yeah.
And in the background, people who follow in your page, they begin to realize, well, brand X really shutting down. But I mean, okay, what are some of the things? Let me ask this with the content creator in mind who's listening, right? When you're making this type of content, what are the things you are considering to avoid putting your foot in your mouth when it comes to working with a particular brand in the future?
All right, so putting my foot in my mouth is like a natural thing, right? So, but honestly, I am aligned with certain businesses, right? So I do subcontract work with certain businesses. And once or twice I have been questioned. I told your dad about one of the scenarios where I get pulled into a meeting because not only because of the soap powder incident, but I was talking about there's a machine I would recommend be above all others, right? And it came to a point where it's like, Joey, you're working for you. Why? What we doing here? You know? And it's like, it's not the idea of that. And I will tell anybody, it's never the idea of the brand, right? You could buy a very small car. Once you maintain it, you change oil on time, you have parts readily available. That car would last you as long as you get in parts for it. Nothing wrong with that. Or you could buy a Hilux or you could buy one of these other brands, right? It's not the idea of the brand. It's the idea there's so much a brand. Which one will work better for your lifestyle? And your lifestyle includes the current supply you have, where you plan to put it, and all these different things. And these are things people don't take into consideration, right? They would buy brands, and when they buy it, they put it in an environment that is not suited for that, right? You have a water problem, and you know that you don't have a tank, and you go and you buy one of these high-end machines, the valves could burn, right? That might not be suited for where you're putting it outside. So it's not the idea of brands breaking down. It's the idea of the culture that goes with what you're investing in. And a lot of people buy stuff and they don't understand there's a certain care for it. There's a certain maintenance that goes with it. There was a video I did on TikTok that blew up over 200,000 views. That's like the only video that ever made it. And I was like, hey, well, you see how nice this washing machine is? Let me show you something. And I pull out the inner drum, and the inner drum was black with all kind of buildup of debris and moss and all these kind of things. And these are things I telling people, you should do this every 3 to 5 years, right? And if I didn't show that, nobody would knew. And then they'll say, nobody tell me anything. And it all goes back now into my method of thinking. My method of thinking as somebody who is trying to put knowledgeable information to the masses is that how would I interact with one person? I am not watching a crowd. I am not watching this one here and that. No. If I am talking to a client, it's the same information I want to put to a client. Because everybody watch videos one person at a time. Probably one or two is, hey, watch this. But the reality is you are speaking directly to one person. So you address one person. If it shares and multiple people watch it, it's the same concept. One person is watching your video at a time.
That is so true. And even in the podcast in here, I was listening to someone the other day. I don't remember their name, but they were talking about when someone is consuming our podcast, it is that one person, and you may be saying the word listener. And to the listener who's a content creator. So let's talk a little bit about streamlining your business using social media and different apps. I'm thinking back to when Farmer Harry and we were selling limes, and I posted it on social media. A mass of comments started coming in terms of people interested in the services, and then I stopped back and I realized, wait, I'm going to have a hard time streamlining this. WhatsApp messages coming in and then kind of consolidating everything into one space so that it makes sense in terms of managing it. So we went over to Google Forms. We started sharing those links. So I'm kind of curious in terms of streamlining your business using social media. What some of the apps and the processes you use? Because I could imagine TikTok messages, WhatsApp messages. Any tips you it may not be apps, but any tips you have along those lines?
I'm gonna be honest. So after that message, all right. So you remember, I don't know. Okay, let's say that. Let's say this, right? When that video went viral, I was overwhelmed. It took me 3 days to go through all the messages on TikTok, and all the messages was pretty much the same. My contact number was there, but they asking for information, right? And it forced me to do something I think hurt my brand, but I'm not sure. It forced me to make 2 rush videos, right? One explaining, look, this is how I charge for this the service. And secondly, explain to people, look, I know I'm not getting to you right now, but I'm overwhelmed. And that's a problem a lot of people think I have with I am not business oriented, so I would not do the business correct thing. I would be real. Right now, I'm overwhelmed. Right, guys? I am sorry, but I will let you know as it is. Right? Things are happening. It's beyond my control. I'm swamped. I need time. Right? And if you can't understand that, I am sorry. I have to work within my limits, right? The other thing, as in managing, this is something I'm still having an issue with, right? I have certain goals that I want to reach at where for now, when somebody message me and we confirm, I use WhatsApp business. So I could go and I could target Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever we're supposed to go. Then I would take their no, phone number, copy it across, and put it on my calendar, right? So, okay, I have to go by you for 6 o'clock. I have to go by you for 8 o'clock. And being a technician is a very difficult thing because sometimes you would walk into a job thinking it's 5 minutes, but when you reach there, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say hidden information because some people may not know that was a valuable piece of
Yeah, a
information.
simple thing as a refrigerator not even being clean at the point in time when yeah.
You know? No, but not only that.
Like a garbage.
Nah. No, those are things I would expect based on culture, right? And I take culture into everything I do, right? By interacting with somebody, you could tell a lot about what to expect. Again, I've been doing this over 20 years, right? But sometimes it's like you have to fix a machine, but in order to get to the machine, you have to clear out like a whole big area, or it's so cramped. Some places are going to, it's just the machine alone in that
Yeah,
room.
so you might have a subsequent appointment and
Yeah,
because of situation A that you cater hour for, you probably there 2
right.
hours.
and then we, our lovely professional drivers on the road.
Yeah. Traffic and
Two cars fall in love, the kiss and cause a whole bacchanal.
but quick question: have you considered in terms of like Google Forms or a website?
Yeah,
How a website might help you?
Okay, so this is just a sidebar from the repairs thing, right? So we started a trade school, right? Tradecraft Institute. And we have the Google form so that so anybody's interested in the sewing, they WhatsApp the number, we send them the Google form. Somehow that's a deterrent though. A lot of people not comfortable doing Google forms. And if it's not working for the school, I don't think it will work well for my business. There's a lot of things I want to invest in, but financially I'm not there yet. So one of the things is that I want somebody to go on my page, my web page, and it's going to have drop down bars. So, okay, where you want to fix washing machine, you drop down, all the list of the amount of things you just fix, click washing machine. Okay, what is the issue you're having with your washing machine? Or you might have the brand first. Okay, so let's say brand X, right? So once it comes into brand X, what issue you're having? And then we want to automate it in such a way where you will get an average response based on the issue you're having. And then once you confirm, okay, this is price X, then it goes across to a spreadsheet that comes directly to my phone that says, okay, you have an appointment XYZ, and this is what's going to be happening.
Yeah, definitely some form of a calendar. People, they could choose the available spots that you
Correct.
have, and then
And
and I trying to pick the person on TikTok saying, okay, yeah, let me jump across there, and they ain't doing that.
No. You see, the thing about it is that I would tell anybody, I'm not a regular technician, right? And the thing about it, what makes me not a regular technician, I don't like the culture of technicians. I'm not saying anything is wrong with it, it's just not for me. Example, I work after hours. I would tell anybody that, here we're going on. What time you reach home? You don't have to take a day off. I'll come by you 6, 7 o'clock in the night. And I'll do what I have to do. Right? I'm not one to say, the name says it all. Fix or fling it. I'm not like stock parts. Right? So the culture of, oh God, he going and use parts. No, don't have those things. Right? So the whole culture and the construct that I carry, again, is my personality. Is how I see it should be done. I'm not saying that is wrong. It's just my point of view, right? So when I go on TikTok and I'm making a video, you're actually seeing Joy culture. You're actually seeing what Joy sees the world as. Because there's a lot of things I put up. Again, there's a big disconnect between what you see as a technician or you see as a business owner to what they see. So somebody might say, hey, come and change a belt by me, right? On a dryer. But they don't see you have to go and get the belt. You have to beat traffic to get to them. And you have to scrap down that, put it up, and still keep your another appointment time in check to keep your business going. All they see is like, ooh, so much money to come and change a belt. You
Yeah,
understand?
boy. Yeah, that this quality of paying for services is something that definitely, if you listening to this and you're a content creator and you have a small business, you really need to consider the different costs that you have along the way, the
Right.
time on the road.
And let me just train something, because one thing was hard for me when I was starting, right? I built everything I have off. I didn't really say, all right, I'm taking this guy idea or doing this guy idea. A lot of questions I ask from upcomers is like, how you just charge? Say, charge what you think you're worth. Right? Now, a lot of people like, oh, good, if I overcharge, I'm going to lose out, because this is not market value. But if you watch at it from any perspective, market value is what the lowest person is charging. Doesn't mean to say it will fit for your bread and butter, right? The reality is how you present yourself. So the information I give when I go to a client, I give more than I should, right? Now, I'm not saying that's a fee, but that's a standard. You understand? And when I come to your home, if you, as a here, check this, as everybody does do, they call you for XYZ line of waiting. So the thing about it, I charge based on my knowledge. I charge based on my experience. But at the same time, you have to be cognizant of market value. So you don't want to be low down. And if you're going high up, you have to be able to maintain that high up standard, right? Example, a lot of people see me and they don't believe I'm a technician. I went to the bank the other day. What is do? I'm a plans tech. And the lady watched me up and I'm like, what? I'm gonna see your hands. Nails clean, you present yourself in a particular manner. Right. And it's like that, all of that sums up not just, I wouldn't say business orient, but also content creation. Because people do content creation without a camera. You interact with your clientele. That's content creation. Reason being, because you're creating a content for that person to understand you, understand your business. The only difference, it doesn't have a camera.
Joey, I so happy. You make my pause raise. I so happy you mentioned that because yesterday I was chatting with a friend of mine. And you remember Purple Dragon from back in the day, Don
Yeah.
Jacob?
Yeah.
And I met Don Jacob the other day, walking through a car park. I was like, hey, Don Jacob. And these guys existed before social media, Facebook. And I could see him decades after my schooling. And I know, I'm so happy that you say that content creation is not just when you have the camera up,
No.
but your interaction with customers, because the man is a walking brand.
Exactly. Exactly that. And this is something that people don't understand in Trinidad, because our culture has always been a hand-me-down society. But you see that word, brand? A lot of people don't look at the businesses as a brand. They look at it as what they create and what they do for a source of income. But your brand is your content. Your brand is you. Your brand is what you portray yourself to be, right? And a lot of people, when they're going into content, they try to falsify, or they try to mimic, or they try to take things from other people and use it as their own, but it's really not in their realm of personality. So, all right, let's say we selling laundry detergent, right? This person selling laundry detergent and they're doing this and then working. But why not working for me? Is that person you? Is the content he creating? What is the avenue or the people he's looking to attract? Right? Paulo Cunahan. I respect this guy maximum. And it's a couple times he jumped in on my chat and he was like, you have followers, but do you have clients? Do you want your followers to become your clients? Or do you just want to have the most amount of views and be broke? It's better to have a quality base of people than to have a magnitude of people just, And the concept behind that is you. And I keep reiterating it. The concept behind it is you. If you're a content creator, I'm not saying you have to be funny, but you have to be somewhat of a people person. You have to be somewhat of an understanding person of what the client's looking for. And that would only come with experience and honing your craft. So when you go to make content, and like I say, you could make content stop in front of audience. Again, with or without a camera, your content alignment to you, what your brand is, should be the same. If you go to a business, like I'm in appliance repairs, right? And let's say I go to a business who they sell batteries and all them things, and I ask for sponsorship. It's one of the first things they might say, our brands don't align. Why is that? Because the thing about it, what you do as your culture is separate from my audience, which is my culture. But if you could find a way to say, hey, well, as a technician, I could talk about your batteries for you because my followers understand the level of intelligence I have in this department and they would listen. They may not buy, but they will take it into consideration. And that's all you can do. This thing of influencers is not really influencers as much as you would like to see. It's just people who are speaking their truths and their personalities. And as if it identifies with what it is you're saying, then you become a follower to them. It's the same thing on if you break it down to that simple fact, anything you're doing, you can become an influencer. But is it an influencer to influence people in your brand or the general consensus of what you're pushing? For example, Fix or Fling is my brand, right? And I could talk a lot of things about a lot of different brands like we just talked about, and I could be identifying things. Now, am I wisening the general public to every brand or every technician, or am I wisening them to my point of view as a technician? That's where your personality comes into play.
So I love that. I love your definition of the brand. Very simple. One of the best I heard so far. Your brand is what you portray, offline and online. And I really enjoy what I could call it a monologue. And I just want to remind folks that you could connect with Joey. His links are in the show notes to his different pages and his businesses. And you mentioned something about, you're reaching people, you have an audience is growing, and then wanting to, convert them into clients because that's how you're making your bread and butter, right? So can you quickly share any tips along the lines of how do you go a particular distance to convert that person who's a casual viewer into making a final decision and saying, yes, Julie, we want to hire you?
Again, it comes back to what a lot of people tell me is that I have a warm personality, right? Well, you already interact so many
Who tell
times.
it, your wife?
No, it's just a general consensus of because I try to take my personality as to be somebody who you could pick up the phone and call, or you could message and ask a question and don't feel any way about it, right? Even when I'm teaching my classes and stuff, they say no question is a stupid question. I add to that, no question is a stupid question unless you could make me stupid, right? So in other words, if you could ask me a question and stump me, I want that, right? So when customers call, hey, I'm having a problem, even if I cannot resolve the issue for them, I would point them in a direction. I would say, look, this is out of my wheelhouse, but you could try these people, or you could do this. And the thing about it is not the idea of trying to market yourself all the time. Your business or your brand is trying to be that good person to somebody else who you can help, right? And that's, to me, that's where it is. Is at the end of the day is the satisfaction of knowing I can do it, but they got the resolve. There's people who I couldn't reach to them in time. They message me back with courtesy, look, Fix or Fling, end up getting somebody to do it. I was like, it working? It good? Yeah. Happy for you. Right? And now with that kind of care and consideration for people and having the understanding that who you're interacting with and what they're trying to get, because at the end of the day, I am selling my service, right? It may come with parts, but I'm selling my service. And if I understand what the client wants for as the person who's purchasing, and I could reach that, I will. And that's where the conversion happens. Sometimes the conversion does happen a year after because people will be like, hey, I followed you for so long and something finally come up.
Wow, I'm so glad you raised that. I remember once going to the mall when I was selling books around Christmas time. This lady stops, she chats with me, she doesn't purchase. 3 years later, I'm in Trinity Mall. She stops, she says, do you remember me? Honestly, I didn't remember. She said, I stopped there 3 years ago when I was on vacation in Trinidad. I didn't have money at the point in time, but I am stopping here now to purchase the books from you. So the conversion doesn't have to happen immediately. Right. And this idea of the brand and the relationship and what you're constantly giving, you're consistently in people's faces, that's fantastic.
I will just stop you there. You see, there's certain analogies and there's things that don't set well with me. You see this idea of bulldog marketing, of constantly pushing your product in people's face. I find that as a form of bullying. Right? It's a low form of bullying. It's not the idea of you always have to be posting. Right now, since I've been sick, which is in January to now, I have posted about 3 or 4 times, right? And the last one that really got to me, one of my clients made me out. It's like, Joe, you're looking real not good, boy. You're looking like you need to rest something. And the most I could say, I don't want to get personal. Why? But hey, I'm not well right now, right? I'm going through some things. I'm human too, right? And I don't gorilla post or bulldog post. And that's something you should not do. Because you kind of turn away people because you're so much in the face, you go get them breathe in the room.
You're talking about content here. You're including educational content in this.
Mhm.
Seriously. So if you
This is
giving
my
people,
point of view.
yeah,
Huh?
that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Because the kind of the way I see I'm meeting you. I'm meeting you in the point there because I'm thinking about even the podcast. At first, I started sharing off shorts with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's valuable to some people, but I was posting it every day, sometimes twice a day. And then I started feeling like, all right, I don't really want to it's valuable stuff.
Yeah.
Might be content from Errol Fabian, as you mentioned, Stefan Fellmine. Good stuff.
Yeah.
But you just don't want to overwhelm
Well, exactly. Because like anything else, they're going to get fed up of you. And although the content may be different, it's still the same. It's still a podcast. It's still coming from Lyndon Baptiste, right? So it puts you into a wheelhouse of, oh God, boy, this guy again, you know? And I see it all the time. I will give the classic example. Facebook. You ever watch that video and halfway through the video, an ad come up? How you just feel? You just bypass the whole video and keep scrolling, right? You don't want to be that person, right? And that's where quality and timely things come into play, right? Now, nobody has the formula down. They could try to reach it because there's so much different cultures in Trinidad where some people actually sit down and watch the whole ad and finish watch the video. And there are some people who be like, I don't have time for that. That will pertain to me. And the reason why is because they're watching the video. Why? Is they watching the video for the content itself, or is it just something to do by the way? If your content is inviting enough, they will make the effort to watch it, right? They will go through, all right, yeah, boy, it has some nice points in this video here. Let the ad pass. That's how they get pay. You will come to terms with it. And again, it all comes back into when you're creating content, you don't think about everybody. You think about one person. You are engaging one person at a time. The story you are trying to tell must go across to somebody who knows nothing about what you do. That is the hardest thing to do. Because as a technician, a lot of people don't understand what we really do. Right? They take it to the simplest fact. Oh, man, it have a man down the road. Every day, but could have a fella down the road who does fix. Right? But they don't understand the brain that goes into it. They don't understand how much thought process goes into repairing something. And that is a very hard avenue to bridge. But once I bridge that, and I feel once I get people to understand how difficult this job is, and we have no redress, there's no school to go to, there's no, all we learn is like from the older heads come down. Now the university or YouTube for some things, right? But then again, like I say, it's not our culture, so it may not be dead on accurate, right? And then what they portray online is different to what we have. So there's a lot of different means of it, right?
Okay, let's talk a little bit about monetization, and I want to separate here not the service, the money that you make from offering your services. I'm kind of curious in terms of how you're thinking about building your business through things like merch, through things like your courses that you're offering. And when you answering this question, I really want to bear in mind the content creator who's listening, the small business owner, and they're thinking about these different, what do they call it, streams of revenue that you could have.
Passive income.
Passive income. So you could share a little bit and feel free to plug your school and different things and tell us about your approach there.
All right. So first of all, I'll tell all you I'm a horrible businessman. Right?
You established that already.
Right. Generally, most of what I do for content wise is really a form of venting. I'm gonna get that out there one time. It's a form of venting. It's a form of there's a lot of personal stress that goes through what I do. And I think connecting with audience and help, like I say, helping them understand what stresses that, oh God, but you're going by this person and yeah, to face this kind of stove because it rail stink or to bring in this condition, I think to fix and whatever. So that is, to me, is a form of venting, is a form of therapy. It also gets the client to understand, look, stop this, right? So it was never for the fact of money, right? And I have this strong belief: as long as you are contented, you live a contented lifestyle, money is not really you what you should be aiming at, right? Because I can make $1 million a month, and if my lifestyle spends $2.4 million, I would never have enough, right? And that comes to the same fact of why you're doing stuff. And again, I never do anything for the money. I mean, we need money to survive, but the concept of doing monetizing, one of my goals for what I am doing is, honestly, I want to reach Caribbean wide as a technician who knows a lot about a nut, right? I want my classes that I teach at CTS to go Caribbean wide. I want to be able to teach the up and coming in the right way. I could have pushed it to get a PhD in appliance repairs. I want to do that. Give some value back to the culture that will help me reach where I am. Whatever I get for it, once it sounds reasonable, we go, right? In the form of TikTok, I think I could get as much as I could get from TikTok, because as long as the clients are coming from TikTok, I'm getting paid from TikTok, right?
But in terms of generating revenue off your TikTok videos,
nothing thus far, right? And the thing about it, like I say, if it reaches there, because I have under 10,000 followers, right? And honestly, under the 10,000 followers, the people I have are very consistent with my content, and I'm happy about it. Right. I mean, I would like to cross 10,000 so I can start to do packet. There's the little tab on top. So washing machines, if you click on it, you get all the information and stuff like that. But you have to cross 10,000. But I rather, like I say, cross 10,000 quality persons than just random people. Right. In the terms of YouTube, I want to turn YouTube into my teaching thing. So one of the things I want to do is I send a video of what I'm working on. I am building small electronics, like an inverter, right? So what I want to do is make packages that you can buy from me, and you could watch my video and make the inverters yourself, right? I want to get down to the kid size who's in primary school and make stuff off of that. Hopefully YouTube revenue would help do that. Plus with endorsements, some electronic stores and stuff like that. Hopefully that will generate a form of income. And the final thing I'm looking at is being the guy for, like, when a new brand or a new product arrives in Trinidad. We always have salesperson teaching you about appliances. We don't have technicians. So the technicians will be able to say, hey, you see this motor, 3 horsepower. Yeah, that's our best motor. Or you see this looking good. Because salesperson are designed to sell, but they don't fix. So the technicians will see where the problems are. It's not the idea to play down or up the appliance. It's to know if it's the right one for you to buy. So in that way, like I say, it comes back to your lifestyle. You're going to know, hey, I need a machine like this because he pointed out all these things, and all these things is what I need. Rather than just, oh, good, at $3,000, $4,000, I need to buy a machine, I get a machine for that price. And then when it gives trouble, it cannot be repaired. We have no parts here, blame the technician. So in the forms of revenue, that's what I'm looking at. But to see socials and stuff bringing in for me, I'm not there yet. And the day I reach there, I want to reach there on quality, right?
Okay, so you mentioned 3 things, and let me see if I got them right. You mentioned that you aren't actually generating revenue from TikTok with your views, but you feel like TikTok is paying you because you're connecting with customers.
Exactly.
So you're reaching people there, and that platform is working best for you.
Exactly.
On YouTube, you mentioned that you want to be creating special type of videos that may be based around technology you've created.
Yeah.
Right? And what was the third one? That's fly out of my head there.
No, like, okay, example, right? Let's say a big franchise store.
Right. Thank you.
Machine.
Right. And
Joe,
you're able to
come and do a demo for us.
But have you approached people along those lines?
Not yet.
Because what keeping you back?
Dude, my brain does work overtime, right? What, like the jersey that I have on right now?
Yeah, merch. You're selling merch.
Yes, I'm opening I'm partnering with a friend of mine, right? We actually going to start to make weird tees, right? It's our week tees, right? So one of the things is this guy could fix it probably, right? They sell like hot bread when we launched it in the grounds for Christmas, right? We have one for my partners and them who's do DJing, right? I get paid to scratch, So we
I love it.
Right? I have a next one for my partner who's a mechanic. So I make money on my back. Yes, I'm a mechanic because they're always underneath fixing. So it's stuff like that, right? I don't database, I Excel. You understand?
Ah, right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what, y'all have a website selling these
Yeah,
products
so
as well?
we was in the, when I got sick, everything went to a halt, right? So I'm not 100 yet, but I'm getting back there. So we have it on Facebook right now, right? We setting up the things, so website for stuff like that. We already have people who want to supply us with jerseys, and these things we have to keep constant. And yeah, we have pretty much all the logistics work out, right? Basically we price in anywhere between $175 to $200 a tee, right? And basically we want to get stuff marketed for people who are in a niche market, right? So it's like when you wear a jersey, you identify with your kind of people. Somebody have to recognize that, hey, that man in accounting, that jersey says something about it. Or can I be your C plus plus? So when you see stuff like that, it's like, yeah, boy, this man into programming and stuff like that. Christian Baron bought two of jerseys. She bought a fix of link from me, and he bought one of these for his YouTube videos, right?
Yeah, and I love the quality of how it's looking.
Yeah.
Bro, that is fantastic. And what I would do for the listener is whenever you get the links,
Mm-hmm.
you send them to me. Even if this launches a month or 2 months or a year from now, send them to me so I could include it in the show
Sure,
notes,
no problem.
so that people could have access to it.
And the thing about it is that with that T thing, we want to link with like Hot 93. Oh, should we call it names? We want to link with radio stations. We want to link with people who is in the public. And we're not linking with them for fame. We're linking with them to say, here, what's going on. Let me make a jersey for you. Let me design and make a jersey for you. I will send you a sample, right? Because we want to hit, instead of trying to make one jersey for everybody, we want to make jerseys for every niche, right? So if you're a car guy,
Yeah. It's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. I really enjoy this conversation, and I have one more question.
Sure,
for you.
man.
And what are 3 practical tips you could give a content creator or a small business owner when it comes to growing the TikTok and improving their reach?
Time, experience, and premeditated facts.
And knowing when to take a rest so you don't
Yeah.
get burnt
Well,
out.
as I say, premeditated facts, right? So here's one of the things I do. So I'm an outdoor person, right? Hiker, whatever. Whenever we on going to a hike, like it may be an hour and a drive, an hour and a half drive, I would sit down either on my laptop or my phone, and I would write out what I want to do. At that point in time, on that drive, everybody knows drives clear ahead. And because I'm going to do something that relaxes me and stuff, my brain works better in terms of creative. So I'll be like, hey, you know what? This story sounds like it could be good, right? A real life experience, because I used to put it out there when I go by people that I get around the man want to know who I is, and. So I would write it out. And then when I feel the urge to make a video, I was like, I'm going to make something. I pull from that. And in the middle of all of that, sometimes I may do it 3 or 4 times until I feel like, hey, this is what I want to put out, and then I put out, right? The whole idea is to sit down and get your creative juices, pen to paper, right? Make sure, even so if you act it out, there are things I did and I feel like I might offend somebody and I crashed it and never put it out. Or I may put it out and I feel a way about it after, like somebody would be offended, be negative, I pull it down, right? There's no 100% fact of what you're going to do is going to work, right? The concept is to keep trying different things. When you realize something land, keep tweaking it, keep going at it. Don't overdo, really don't. So if you're posting once a week, here's a simple tip I learned. Pick a day and make that day your day. So I have something I started called Manual Mondays, right? So Manual Mondays is just basically, I'm going to the parent company, like I have a Whirlpool login, and I will go into it, and all their do's and don'ts, I will give you a tip on it every Monday. And that's it, right? Now we want to incorporate Fling It Fridays, right? So what I can fix, I'll be like, see this coffee maker, this did happen. And you'll see my pull a sledgehammer and I'm like bang, bang, bang. And so it's the same content, but presented in a different format. And 1 out of the 2 of them should land. If the 2 of them land, I'm grateful. But then it gives you that opportunity, that headspace. How can I be creative with my product?
Joey, it's fantastic. I enjoy this conversation. I appreciate you sharing every aspect of your journey from things like monetization, branding, exactly what you're saying there that the content creator could create different types of segments. It can like different newspaper columns that you have. And you're dropping it on certain days. You're providing value. And I really thank you so much. This was a kind of...
any content creator.
This is great. This is great.
Any content creator out there that wants perspective on different things, they can feel free to reach out and say, hey, this is my product. This is what I want to do. And I'll be grateful to advise. Even like in the last 5 minutes before we start, Lyndon learned so much about video editing and audio from me. Right? And that is something I would implore anybody first as a content creator. Understand your tools. Understand your cameras, understand your mics. Not because somebody using a Rode or they're using a Legacy or they're using something like that means it's for you. Understand what you have and learn how to use it well. Once you do that, you would eventually grow into the more professional thing. And sometimes the professional thing is just there for flam. So you have to know what you want to do and how you want to create yourself and stick within those guidelines. Don't go with everybody and the mass media is doing. Know yourself, stick within your budget. You could create your content on a 2D cardboard or you can make a 3D animation. The fact about it is what you're doing, make sure you're true to yourself. That's it.
And if it didn't work in, fling it. Joey, thanks again.
No problem.
And to the listener who've made it to the end of this episode, thank you very much.
Thank you very
and
much.
we'll see you in the next episode.